Lavender is one of the most popular flowering shrubs, and it's easy to see why our love affair with it is just so enduring. Now, in the garden, it's known for its lovely colour and fragrance, but lavender oil has heaps of different uses. So everything from cooking and cleaning to bathing. I've even used it to help to ease a headache or to help me sleep. And above and beyond all of that, planted en masse like this, it's simply breathtaking.
'Cause it's time to see the world in colour, in colour, in colour.
I'm at the Bridestowe Lavender Estate just outside of Launceston in Tasmania's north. Now, this is the largest lavender farm in the Southern Hemisphere. I'm talking over 260 acres and a whopping 660,000 individual plants. There's somewhere around 40 different species of lavender, but the hero at Bridestowe is Lavandula angustifolia, otherwise known as the true French lavender, which is the only lavender species that can be used in both perfume and cooking. So this lavender farm is one of the few that is truly paddock to plate. One of the things that I love most about the estate is its incredible history. So it all started over 100 years ago when seeds were collected from a wild population of French lavender that was growing in the mountainous regions in Provence in southern France. So when the seed was brought here, the light and the climatic conditions of Tasmania perfectly echoed their wild environment, and so the lavender just really took off. And as a result, this has become one of the top tourist destinations in Tasmania. And you can see why people flock here to see the breathtaking colours and lavender as far as the eye can see. It's hard to believe, but these lavender rows stretch for 200 kilometres. That's from here to Hobart. Now, traditionally in Europe, lavender would have been planted in straight rows, but not here in Tassie. The curved rows allowed the original owners to make the most of rainfall and runoff and reduce erosion. They also channel water away from the roots because lavender hate wet feet. Lavender has many uses, but the majority of the crop here is harvested for distillation to make lavender oil. And all the magic happens in here. Hi, Robert.
Hi, Melissa. How are you?
Good. Can you tell me what is special about the species that you're growing here?
Okay, there are 5 unique clones, all developed for this site, available nowhere else. It's the most calming fragrance in the world. So you come into here, you smell it, and you feel instantly tranquil and calm.
Is that purity of species important?
Yes, it is. It is pure seed brought from the French Alps in 1919, and it's probably the best gene pool outside of mountainous France now.
You know, I can really smell it in here. This is where we need smell-o-vision. The lavender is gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, but how do you take the plant and then turn it into oil?
Well, it's harvested somewhat brutally, and it's brought into the distillery and it's steamed for about 20 minutes. And in the steaming process, the essential oils are released, they're captured, condensed, and ultimately put into storage to rest for about 3 months. Then we go into the blending process to produce the famous oil.
And what do you use the oil for?
Its principal use is aromatherapy. It's always a prime body contact oil. We allow it to be used direct to skin, wonderful for massage, for creating a feeling of calm and well-being. And we say to visitors when they come, if you're feeling grumpy when you come, go into the distillery and you'll emerge feeling really good. So they do.
Well, I tell you what, in here, with that smell, I'll be very relaxed. Growing lavender on this scale is one thing, but if you're growing it at home, here are a few tips for you. So for a start, lavender loves to soak up the sun, so make sure you put it in a sunny position. Good drainage is also really important because remember, they don't like water hanging around the roots. They're also really tough plants that'll cope with little watering. So for example, all the plants here are watered by natural rainfall. And when it comes to pruning, well, the ones that are growing here are a little different. They reshoot from the base, which means they can be cut back a little bit harder. But for most lavenders, you would want to chop them back by about 1/3, just as those last flowers are closing, and don't cut into any old wood. your lavender in the garden, in the bath, or in a sweet treat like this. One thing is for sure, our love affair with lavender is going to live on. Not like this ice cream, which is melting very fast.
You know, the only thing that's better than late summer entertaining? Complete and absolute laziness, which, by the way, is my comfort zone. No, but really, when the produce is this good at this time of the year, you can do a lot by doing very little. What I've got in mind is a super simple piece of snapper. It's really tasty with the butter, some salad featuring fruit. Absolutely delicious. You'll knock it over in 10 minutes. You will need to start by making the flavoured butter because everything else happens so quickly that there's not time to catch up. So, a bit of rosemary and chop it down really finely, along with some capers. Then we will need some butter and make sure it's soft because you beat it all together. The best thing about a little recipe like this is you can make extra butter and keep it for something else. I really like it with lamb. So we just work this together until it's smooth. As for the snapper itself, you don't want to do too much to it. A lot of people think that you've got to add this and add that. No, no. All I'm going to do is a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper.
I won't let you walk home tonight alone.
And for an extra burst of flavour, find yourself some avocado oil. It's usually on the top shelf in your supermarket.
That would make it better, better. You'll find it hard.
You want to make sure it's really lovely and coated. But you know what? We're not going to cook that just yet. It's only going to need maybe 5 minutes to go through. So we've got the butter ready, we've got the fish ready. I think next we should do our salad. Watermelon is going to add texture, it's crunchy, sweetness because it's sweet, and that lovely juiciness to our salad. I'll show you a trick for chopping it up though. All you need is a sharp knife. We're going to work our way down on one side,
Yeah, that's all right
and then on the other,
with me.
then across, and across, and then down like this. And hey presto! Wow, it's just one bit. Next, we should probably use some of your more conventional salad ingredients. That's really good. Just a bit of cucumber, split it down the middle, scrape out the seeds, and then slice it straight across to make those little half moon shapes. That green's going to be really important because it's a lovely contrast colour. Speaking of which, we're going with all like the red tones. So we've got some red onion, we're going to go with some tomatoes, and believe it or not, some seasonal peaches. We haven't got much longer to go with these, so you're best off using them while you can. Slice, dice, I don't know, wedges? How are the colours in this? It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I need to go and make sure our coals are ready. When you're cooking fish, you do not want it to be too quickly, otherwise it's going to burn or dry out. So, a lovely moderate sort of a heat. We'll pop the grill on and a flat plate. There we go. And then it's time to cook.
The sun is gonna shine on this old heart of mine. It happens all the time when you look up and follow the rain.
When you're doing it, just remember to oil the plate first. Oh, my skin's sticking.
I do know until then I'll just look up and follow the rainbow.
You might think it's possible to have too much of your rosemary and caper butter, but I'm telling you, it absolutely isn't. That looks completely delicious. And guess what? Dinner is served. You know what? This salad, this fish is exactly how I like to entertain.
Are you good? Good to see you. Hey? Hey! What a fabulous place this is. I'm surrounded by dogs. The dogs are having such a great time. They're in the water, they're on the sand, they're enjoying it. And out there, wow, look at those boats. We get to enjoy them. And I thought to myself, well, why not combine the two? Let's put the dogs on the boats. And then we can all have a good time. We can be a family. Yeah, it is a good idea. But you need to be well prepared before you all step on board.
I will be there to join you again. I will be there.
I want you to meet two really passionate nautical canines. First of all, there's Lila. Now, you can't miss her. She's an Aussie Shepherd. No tail. The other one is Mojo. Mojo's a bit like me, a bit portly and very little hair on top. And they're part of a family that works here at Keys Marina on beautiful Pittwater. Hello. How are you? Oh, welcome in committee. G'day. G'day. Don't you miss out, Mojo. I'd say they're a couple of pair of salty dogs or sea dogs, if you like. Where do the dogs normally go when you're on the boat?
Well, I'm going to go with Lila in the cockpit. Ben, do you want to go up the bow?
Yeah, Mojo loves it up on the bow.
Where does Harry go?
Go in the cockpit with me.
Now, what dog doesn't love travelling in a car, right, Marnie?
Yeah.
But this is a boat. It's very different. Now, in a car, the dog has to be restrained on the back seat in some sort of harness device. What about a boat like this? Because I notice you've got these sort of very high bits on the side here to stop anybody, and that includes me, falling over. Whereas on an older type craft, and I guess on a yacht, particularly a racing yacht, you wouldn't have this at all, would you?
No, and Lila's grown up on sailing yachts, so she knows all about that. There's a lot of tilt involved, and but on a boat like this, you don't have to worry about that.
So you would happily let her off the lead to walk around here?
Only when we're not underway. So while we're at speed, I've always got her on a lead,
Right.
and of course, she's always got a life jacket on.
Okay. Now let's talk about life jackets because they're important. I'm not wearing a life jacket. You're not wearing a life jacket
Yeah.
because the size of this boat,
Yeah.
the fact that we're in enclosed waters and we're travelling at fairly low speed, it's not required. So we're safe. But for dogs, in my opinion, it's always required.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Some dogs can't swim. So you need to actually teach your dog to swim before you think about taking it out on a boat of any description at all. And that includes even a little dinghy. But being part of a seafaring family, Mojo and Lila don't just cruise about on powerboats. How would Lila go on a paddleboard?
Well, she loves it. It's probably her favourite thing to do. I'll tell you what, she's going to get very excited when we get that thing down.
All right, we're going to have 6 legs on the one paddleboard. How does that sound?
Good girl.
You can let me down, but I hope you know.
You make it look so easy.
If you let me down, I won't let.
Dogs have got 4 feet, so they have really got a good sense of balance, but this is a very unnatural sort of thing to be on. But she seems to love it. What a great sequence. That's a well-controlled... I was about to say it was a well-controlled circumstance, but unfortunately, every good thing comes to an end. We just do things like that occasionally to show you that it is real. Now, powerboat with its high sides is one thing, but what if you want to go sailing with your dog? Talk to me about Sassy. How did you introduce her to the boat?
Well, the day we picked her up, we had the boat in the harbour having some work done, and we had to take the boat from the harbour up here. It's about 12 miles round figures, but you had to go out the heads, up the coast, and then back in here through Palm Beach. So we brought her with us.
Tiny thing she was.
And she was very small, and we've got a photograph actually of us holding her, and we just motored up gently, didn't put the sails up. It was all very, very calm and benign, and she hasn't looked back.
Took it in a stride.
She loves it, loves
Well,
it.
she's half poodle. They're pretty smart dogs. They really are pretty smart dogs. How do you get on if you're, say, up the Whitsundays or something, cruising around the islands?
Yeah.
Right? How does the dog get on? You know, you're not going to go ashore, right?
Correct. So one of the things we wanted to do with her from the time that we bought her was get her on the boat, get her relaxed and comfortable, and we started making sure that she was able to go to the toilet on the boat. So to do that, she goes up onto the deck there, and so from very, very early on she learned to do that, and she still does it.
You've got what is effectively a metre square piece of artificial grass.
Yep.
Cheap as chips and totally disposable. When it finally wears out, you go get yourself another one, right?
Absolutely.
I look at it, you know, and in comparison to, say, a powerboat, which will often have fairly large gunnel around the side, you know, you don't have that. You've just got wire rope.
Correct.
So she could, she's tiny, she could roll over and gone. So if she does happen to roll over and gone, have you got procedures for getting her back on the boat?
So what we do have is a Dan buoy, and what we'll do is deploy it straight away. That tells us where roughly the vicinity of where the dog will be.
Okay, so that goes in the water. Obviously, it floats.
Literally
with the orange
just
bits.
throw it
This is
over.
weighted.
Yeah, so it stays
it
downwards,
goes-
and then you see that you've got the flag.
Goes straight up the flag, and if for any reason it's night time, you've got a reflective tape here.
I can see here on the edge
so
as well.
you can see it in a torch. And that at least gives us a position, because a dog, even a big dog, in any sort of waterway, all you see is the head if it's in the water.
That's exactly right. We've talked a lot about safety, life jackets and what to do when your dog accidentally falls off the boat. But what if you both just want to go for a swim?
You're keen, aren't you?
That is the most amazing thing. So this ramp's been specially made by the two of them. So Sassy can get up and down without any trouble. They've got a non-slip surface on it, so she can grip quite well. What a good idea. It's like a little kid's slippy dip with this tactile surface glued on.
Up you go.
And it works so well.
You want to come back there? Good girl.
Dogs are part of the family, aren't they? They really are. And Sassy just loves this boat, but I think she likes the treats it even more at the moment. What a great day I've had. Been on a beautiful powerboat and now on a stunning yacht. Waterways of Sydney are something special, aren't they? In fact, the whole of Australia. We've got so much water around us. Get out there and enjoy it. With the whole family, and I'm talking about your dog as well. Just make sure that, like Boy Scouts, you're well prepared.
After you, Joanna.
Thank you, Kylie. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, get some food. So, Joe, these are the Granville Island public markets. It used to be an industrial estate, as you can probably tell by the buildings.
Yeah, but now it's just a really fun and funky place to visit. It's a real arts and cultural hub, but it is most famous for its food.
And we've come well before the crowds, so we can have a good look around and get some food in my belly before lunch.
That's just called smart planning.
Welcome
Nice
to
to meet you.
Vancouver Foodie Tour's Granville Island Market Tour. I am
Thank
Manuela. I'll be your guide today.
This is unreal.
It is a beautiful place to be. Tell you a bit of history about this neighborhood here. Granville Island used to be a sandbar where the Squamish First Nation would harvest their crabs and mussels during low tide. So since the beginning, it's always been a place for people to gather and eat. In 1916, this was called Industrial Island. It was turned into a man-made island. And if you look around, these are all converted factories from then. But the cool thing about it is that 80% of the traffic is from locals. So it's
Really?
not just a tourist attraction.
That's what
It's
we
where
want.
people like myself, the locals, and the top chefs in the cities come to get their
Cool.
specialty ingredients.
Jolly good.
We wanted that local experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Are you hungry?
Yeah.
Very.
Fantastic. Let's head to a bread affair for our first tasting of organic artisan bread. What I love about them are their cheeky names for their bread. So we've got Cheeky, we've got Missionary, Happily Ever After, Soulmate, French Kiss, Three's Company. All of their breads are made in their Langley production facility, and all of their pastries are made here in-house. So we have a little taste of their
What's this one?
orange and milk chocolate scone.
Cheers. Cheers.
That's beautiful.
Well, thank you so much. That's really good.
So welcome to Benton Brothers Fine Cheeses. This is started by Jonah and Andrew Benton. Two brothers, used to be mechanical engineers, decided they wanted to go into the cheese business. We're gonna start off with this. This is a cheese curd. Do you know what specialty in Canada we use cheese curds for?
On the
Is it the
chips.
chips? The
Yes,
chips
that
and
is
gravy?
poutine. It started
Poutine,
in
yeah.
Montreal. Chips, cheese curds, and gravy. Very light morning. So you're ready to try some of these cheese
Yes,
curds?
please.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
This is from Armstrong,
Thank you.
BC. Village Cheese Company. So a cheese curd is that part of the cheese making process. So before it gets pressed into wheels or bricks and aged, this is very young cheddar cheese.
That's beautiful.
Right.
Look at these.
You ready for some fresh salmon?
Yeah.
Doesn't get fresher than that. That's
Oh, yes.
amazing.
This is one of the original shops to open in the public market in 1979. They feature the most delicious smoked salmon. So we have two kinds of smoked salmon for you today.
Yep.
We're going to start off with the cold smoked salmon lox, which is this one right here. If you'd like to
Right.
help yourself,
Thank you very much.
you're very welcome. So this is put in a salt and sugar brine and then cold smoked to retain that beautiful texture and sockeye salmon color.
Yeah.
Here is the maple candy nuggets. Help yourself. So this is a hot smoked salmon.
Okay.
It is put in a salt, sugar, and maple syrup brine and then hot smoked while basted with more maple syrup. An indigenous treat and very Canadian. How much more Canadian can you get? Maple and salmon together.
So good.
I get why that's a treat. The sweetness of that is outstanding.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's much sweeter than Charlie is to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Ooh, maple syrup.
All right, let's get Canadian.
Yeah.
So welcome to the Maple Syrup Shack. So
Okay.
maple syrup actually ranges from extra light to dark. As it gets darker, it has more mineral taste, more maple flavor to it.
Oh, wow. So we kind of get ripped off, is what you're telling us.
Well, I mean, you're here in Vancouver and you
Yeah.
get to try many different products. They have butters, they have syrups, and today you're going to get to try their maple fudge.
That I am sold on. That is amazing.
I don't want to be the meat man anymore. I want to be the maple man. It's
Nice.
delicious.
That is a true taste of Canada. All right, so your final tasting on the tour today is at Lee's Donuts.
Super cute, guys.
Yes, yeah, it is one of the most popular donut shops in all of Vancouver. Is because Seth Rogen and David Chang came and did a feature of Lee's Donuts, and now the word is out, and you won't see this place without a queue around the marketplace, specifically for these honey dip donuts.
Honey death donut.
Honey dipped.
Honey dip donut.
Death by donut.
Oh, it smells so good.
Oh, they are good. This has been so much fun.
Yes, and Charlie was starving. Are you finally full?
Oh yeah, have a look at that. Yeah, it's good, that one.
You have to save some space because we are going to be taking a walk on the wild side. Yep, that's right. There's more for that, but then we're like, thank you.
You're so
you so
welcome.
much.
It was such a pleasure to host you today.
We're definitely not going to be hungry on the way to the next one.
Most of us have a drawer at home full of old plastic cups, plates, and bowls. Well, I have a great idea for you to reuse and upcycle these into stone look pedestal bowls. These are in all the high-end stores, but they can be pretty expensive, and this is a great way to make them for a fraction of the cost. It's also super easy and fast. The longest part is waiting for the paint to dry. To create the shapes, you can be as creative as you like using what you have to hand. For me, I'm going to use one of these large bowls with a large tumbler underneath, and then I think another one with a shorter tumbler like that, so they match. But you could use a bowl on top of a bowl just like that. That makes a really nice shape. Or a smaller bowl on the bottom and a large one on the top, just like that. So get creative. First up, you'll need to make sure that your plastic is clean and dry, and then using a special glue for plastic, which usually comes with a primer to make sure that it sticks, you take the two parts and use the primer pen first around the edge where it's going to stick. Place it on there and it dries really quickly. You could use a hot glue gun for this, but it might melt the plastic, so this is a better option. So once you've applied your glue just to one side, you can then place your two items together and hold it down for about 30 seconds. So quick and easy. I can now start to glue the next one together. Now that they're glued, it's time to get them sprayed. The next step is to use a primer, and I've set up a very fancy cardboard box paint booth outside just for that. It's really important at this step that you use a special primer for plastic, and that way the paint will stick. This is clear and it dries really quickly, so it's not going to slow you down. I'm giving these a light and dark granite look. So to make it more uniform, I'm going to use a white undercoat on one and black on the other. And here's a quick tip. You'll probably need to do 2 light coats rather than 1 heavy coat, and that way you won't get lots of drips. I'll just let this one dry now and start on the finishing touches to the white one. And I love the fact that there are so many great effects in paints now. This granite one is gorgeous, but it's really important that you give it a really good shake before you start. You want to give it 2 or 3 light coats, and in between wait for it to dry and give it a shake again. And then leave it for about 24 hours and then it'll be ready to use. Gorgeous do these look. They're classy, they're on trend, and so easy to make. Now you have got no excuse not to clear out that old plastic drawer.
You know, it's fair to say with summer almost behind us, but definitely autumn is just around the corner, it's a great time to give your lawn a bit of TLC. Now, it doesn't matter what sort of grass you've got. I've got all the tips for you to have a lush green lawn. It'll look perfect for the rest of the year.
I like it, baby. It's not hard for me to
This lawn here is King's Pride Buffalo, and it's well known for being a really tough, resilient grass, whether it's in sun, shade, summer, winter, right through the whole year. It's a really beautiful, lush green lawn. And it's really served us very well for at least 10, maybe 12 years. But like all grass, they suffer from compaction. Kids, dogs and high traffic areas, just like this one here. Now, we've also had a lot of rain, and with waterlogged soils, your plants really start to suffer, and you've got to get that water out of the soil because you end up with a lot of disease problems. Best thing to do is at least once a month to aerate and really open up your soil. Now, there are purpose-made sandals. You can do the same thing in that aeration, but I think you can't beat a good old garden fork.
You're making it easy to breathe.
my greenkeeping days, hybrid cooches were all the go. Then they fell out of favour, especially for home gardeners when the buffaloes took over. Well, that was 20, 30 years ago. Today, the professionals are now going to a new hybrid cooch, and it's called Tahoma 31. You'll see it at the local golf course and professional turfs all around Australia. And the advantage of it is it'll take extreme heat and humid conditions and extreme cold and frost and snow at the other end and everything in between. In fact, this hybrid cooch looks more like an Axminster or shagpole carpet. I just love it. Easy to look after and low maintenance. And like all grasses, they need to be mown regularly. Now, in summer, you need to keep them just a little bit tight. That keeps them strong and tough and keeps the weeds out. But when winter and the cooler months come around, you need to raise your lawnmower, take a lot less pressure off your grass and have more leaves there. That way, you're going to have a great looking grass, weed-free, all year round.
Feel like I was undercover. Now I'm driving way over 100. Every time I talk, I'm real stutter.
If you're wanting to start a new lawn or cover up a few bare patches, using runners is a very cost-effective way to do it. 12, 18 months ago, this was a bare patch of dirt out here in the street. Now, I put down 20 different runners of my King's Pride buffalo that I had up the back. They were running everywhere, I cut them off. Now, what you need is a bit of organic matter just to improve the soil, some coarse sand, some wetting agent, granular is very likely the best, and a top quality fertiliser. And that fertiliser I'm using is Sudden Impact for Lawns. It's perfect for all your different types of grasses, professional as well as homegrown lawns like mine here. And it has the added benefit of being coated with that advanced formula, Populate. The reason that Sudden Impact for Lawns is such a good fertiliser, it contains all the nutrients that your lawn is going to need. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, iron, calcium, sulphur. These are the new ones that we realise that many of our soils are deficient in. So once again, it's what's happening underneath that we're benefiting. When they started coating it with Populate, which is an advanced probiotic, they noticed a massive benefit not only to the soil but to the microflora, helping to protect the grass from diseases. It's also helping my 100-year-old jacaranda here too. It needs all the protection it can get. Now, if you've got an exotic plant as a hedge like I do here, this Murraya, this fertiliser is also perfect for a hedge like this. Murraya has a bit of a problem occasionally. When it's looking good, you get one dye here, one dye there. Well, the Populate keeps that under control, and the rest of the fertiliser keeps your hedge looking really dense and compact. Bit of a tip with Murraya, start pruning it the day you plant it. Only a light trim, that keeps it really twiggy and lots of growth.
There's a fire in your eyes. It used to be in your
You know, it doesn't matter what sort of grass you've got, autumn is a perfect time to be giving it a good feed. And with all those nutrients, at this time of the year, they're going to last at least for 5 or 6 months. That means that your autumn grass and your winter grass is going to be thick and lush and green, and it'll choke out the weeds, which is even better still. And of course, with the Populate, it's going to keep the soil healthy. How good is that? You know, there's an old saying that the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. But if you follow my few tips, it'll be your neighbours who'll be green with envy.
Have you ever found yourself on your lunch break and you get your phone out and you want to watch something on your phone and you just can't get your phone to stand up on the perfect angle without having to use your hand? Well, I've got the perfect solution for you, and it all starts with this bit of timber. And all it takes is 3 cuts. The first thing I'm going to be doing is doing a checkout up the top. For the size, it's going to be 70mm long. I'm coming in 10mm from one edge, and then the checkout will be 15mm wide and 10mm deep. For the timber, I'm just using some 30x12 hardwood.
If I said I'm fine, I'd be lying. We're blinded. It's about that time to break silence. Let's break the silence.
And this is it. Now, I'm going to drill a hole in the corner. That means I can put this keyring in and you can take it with you wherever you want. Then I'll give it a sand and I'll show you how it actually works. Oh, I think he's looking good. So we've got the hole here for the keyring, and the way this works is it slips onto the side of the phone, and it holds it up on the angle for you. And the two hands are to yourself, so you can eat your lunch. You might be on an aeroplane and it's on the perfect angle. Wherever you are, this makes life a lot easier. But to finish this off now, I'm just going to go over it with some clear oil. And you can see just how good this works.
It doesn't matter where you are in the world, food is the ultimate communicator.
And to get a close and intimate look on how such a beautiful place like Vancouver works, well, I reckon you've got to get out to the wilderness.
Well, I reckon you have to meet someone like Robert. You do realise, Robert, that when most people cook a meal, they go to the refrigerator or the pantry, but not you. This is where you bring us.
Yep, it's my favourite place.
So how long have you been foraging for food?
Well, my dad was a forester and he loved his trees. He brought like a little book about tree identification when I was really young. So then as I started cooking later in life, I already had a background on how to identify things.
How fantastic.
Yeah, cool.
It's kind of grown from there.
Yeah. Swallowtail Culinary Adventures is all about eating and foraging. So teaching people how to harvest crabs, seaweed, mushrooms, plants.
Is this your standard crab trap that you'd be using? Or?
It's one of the types of crab traps. This is called a drop pot.
Yeah.
So it's the easiest. It's like for the most like...
She must have heard we were coming.
I like that, I like that.
It's for like couch potatoes, sort of like drop it, leave it for the day, come back. Hopefully you have some crab.
We might let you throw it in and we'll help you bring them back in. How about that?
Okay.
Sounds like a good deal. I like that.
So now we have to be patient. What can we do in the meantime?
We could forage for some plants. We could pick some leaves to make into a salad. How about that?
That sounds unreal.
Okay. So this is one we can eat.
Right. So we saw some of this, didn't we? We saw some of this this morning.
Delicious Douglas fir.
Oh, wow. That's punchy.
Mm-hmm. Lemony, rosemary.
Mmm.
A little bit,
nice.
like, this one's a bit older because it's later in the year, so you have more tannins involved.
Okay.
It started off citrusy, but now it's rosemary. That's very cool.
So we'll put this in your salad.
Yeah, okay. All right. Grab a couple of these.
Yeah.
There's some elderberry
Yeah.
over here that we can take a look at.
Okay.
So this lovely little plant is elderberry.
Yep.
Its leaves smell like peanuts or peanut butter.
Wow. I did not expect that.
The berries, as well as the flowers, can be eaten. The berries have to be cooked to be eaten, and the stems and roots are toxic. So it's one of those ones that you really need to know a little bit about before you choose to consume it. Elderberry is one of my favorite plants. I harvest the flower in spring. I make a simple syrup and infuse the flower into that. And I've made, basically I have that syrup and I made a lovely little drink for you guys to try.
I can do that. That's fine.
We love your plants. Wow.
There's
Look at them.
lunch. These are Dungeness crab, the most delicious crab. There's red rock crab out here too, but Dungeness are the ones that are really expensive. So lucky you.
Great.
Oh, seriously,
Nice.
we've scored. Reverend, this looks awesome.
Yes, it does. I have to admit, I've never cooked crab in my life.
Oh, really?
What?
Never. I'm English, remember?
There's lots of water around England.
Yeah, I know. And none you actually want to go in. That's the difference.
Got it. So you definitely, as a beginner,
Yes.
you don't want to boil your crab.
Okay.
So you lose all that flavor of the crab to the water, basically. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to throw it in the pot now.
Let's do it.
Keep going.
So what we're putting in is a little bit of garlic, butter, and lemon, of course. And then sake with a bit of ale.
Okay.
Just a little bit of sort of liquid to start the steaming process. And then all the juices of the crab will be in the pot. And you
Wow.
can use that as a natural sauce for bread. And it's the most delicious. Here we go. And we're just gonna wait for 15 and then we're gonna have an amazing sea dinner.
Well, while we talk about that, tell us about this salad.
We have seaweed, bullwhip kelp. This is a kale salad with fir tip and birch ferment.
How much of that goes in?
We're gonna do just a teaspoon, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Off you go, Charlie.
Yeah, do it.
Like a big tablespoon.
There's some tongs. You can toss it. I'll go home.
Like, is that enough?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. And are we doing the doodads as well?
Yeah, if you can just tear those into, and just a little bit of them.
Oh, is that too much of the doodads?
That's probably too much. Pretty intense.
Okay.
Maybe like 2 of them.
Okay. Well,
Two doodads.
I over-doodadded.
Not for the first time in his life either, just quietly.
Yeah, I'm a doodadder.
So, should be ready, nice and steamy.
Oh, that smells amazing.
And you can tell it's cooked by the color of the shell.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn it off so it doesn't overcook. And then I'm gonna put it right down here for you.
Yum, that looks so good.
And then for presentation, you can put the crab head on.
Nice.
If you wish. So the really good thing is the jus. So this is what we've waited
wow,
for.
Look at that.
Golden elixir. This. And then as you pick your crab out of the shell, you just dip it in this and it makes it delicious.
Yum.
There we
Robin,
go.
that looks amazing. Let's have a sip of this first. Taste. Cheers. What a top day.
Yeah.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
So good.
Well, I think we're gonna plate these last 2 up and then maybe have a little taste them a little bit later.
Sounds good.
Yummy.
We're all heading back to the office, but for those get to work from home days or just a spot to do your personal paperwork or even homework, I'm going to be making this trendiest desk that will have you sorted in style and hardly take up any room in the home at all. To make this trendy desk, it all starts with these off-the-shelf panels. What I like about them is their thickness. They're 33mm thick, so it will give us a nice, chunky look. Now, the first thing I need to do is join these together, because this is going to be the tabletop. So standard, they're 300mm wide. But once I've joined them, they'll be 600.
But you wrote 'em. Give me ice cold as ice, I couldn't help it. You got me begging for love.
To fix these two pieces together, I've just marked out where I'm going to be putting the screws. Now, this is the underside of our desk. The way the screw's going to work is it's going to come through on this angle, but I need to make sure that it doesn't come out the other side, because that's the top of the desk. To do that, I've got this handy little jig. I basically sit it on my mark, I'm going to clamp it in place, and that allows the drill bit to go through on the correct angle. With the holes drilled, I'm now just gluing the edge before I stick them together, and then simply just screw it off. And how good does that look? You wouldn't even know it's 2 pieces. Now I'm going to sit this aside to dry, and with another panel, I'll start working on the legs. Now out of one panel, I'll get 1 leg. So the first thing I want to do is mark it up, and then I'll cut it out with a circular saw. These legs are a little bit of a design feature. They are tapered and extend 760mm below the tabletop. Above the table, the legs continue 410mm further. With the legs cut, first thing you need to know, this table is not going to have 4 legs. It's not going to have 3, it is going to have 2, and that's how we came up with this shape. So this part here will sit up against the wall. That means everything, we now work off this side, and that, working square, is our tabletop, 600 wide. We need something to support that. Out of the offcuts of the leg, I've just made these 2 rails here, which when fixed in place, will give extra support to our desktop. there we have 2 lovely legs. And now we can see that our bench top is basically going to be sitting in here, but to give it more of a streamlined look, I'm going to do 2 checkouts on each side of the bench top. Look at that, I think that is nice and snug. Now, I can go over the whole lot, give it a good sand, and then we're coating it with some clear Danish oil. With everything dry, it's now time to bring all the pieces together. Now, another good thing about this project is there's no glue. That means that you can simply unscrew it and just take it with you if you ever need to move. The only thing to note here is, because this is a tapered edge, I'm just using 3 different size screws. Otherwise, they'll come through the other end.
Sometimes words can't explain the feeling. Sometimes that feeling destroys.
Let's flip it over and have a look. Careful. Oh, how nice does that look? Now, the first thing you'll notice is the legs do protrude up above the bench top, and that's for a reason, because this will rest on the wall, but also just made up this pine backing board, and that's going to slip in between. And then once we fix this to the wall, I'll simply put a pin board up against that. Well, I think that is looking pretty cool. Now I just need to find a wall to fix it to. I'm adding some pin board to the back of the desk to hide the screws, and it's a handy place to pin stuff. Now, I said it would be stylish. Tick. I said it wouldn't take up much room. Tick. This is the perfect spot for you to do your homework or even work from home. But talking about working, surely it's time for me to clock off. I've actually done overtime, probably an hour or 2.
I will be there.
There's nothing quite like the scent of lavender. It's just so soothing and calming. And if you're lucky enough to be growing lavender at home and looking for ways to make the most of the flower, but also capture the essence of that fragrance for longer, then you'll love this little craft project. I'm going to make lavender wands, which look like this. And it's basically where the lavender flower is encased in a cage of stems and woven ribbon. And you can use them to scent your wardrobe or your drawers or even your car. You want to start by harvesting somewhere between 7 and 15 stems of lavender. Now, the idea is to harvest an odd number because we're going to be doing a bit of weaving. I'm going to strip back the stems. I reckon 9 stems is a pretty good place to start. I'm just going to strip the leaves back so that I've got a nice little head of lavender there at the top. So the next step is to get your hands on some decorative ribbon. I always think the purple ribbon works really well, but of course, you know, you could be a bit more flamboyant with some of the other colours. I like to leave the spool attached like this, and then you quite simply tie the ribbon around the base of that flower bunch, but close to where the flowers are. And then just secure it really well. So I'm just doing a couple of knots. Now, I suppose this is the trickiest part. What we're going to do is we're going to bend those stems over the flowers to form that cage. So what I'm doing is just using the blunt end of the scissors, or you could use a spoon, something like that, just to kind of dent the stems, I suppose, and make that bending process a bit easier. Now it's just a matter of bending those stems delicately back over the flowers like this. Now don't worry if you break one. Just remember that if you break one, you need to remove the broken one plus one because you need an odd number of stems for the weaving.
I got a couple scraped up knees and my first bee sting. I even got my first kiss from the girl that lived behind me.
So now it's just a matter of weaving, and we're using the really simple over and under technique. So basically you're going over one stem, under another, and so on. So once you've got into the rhythm of weaving, just make sure that you take some time to just push those stems around so that they're nice and evenly spaced. And then we can keep weaving all the way to the end of the flowers. So once you've got the weaving to that point, you can quite simply cut off the spool, and you can use the ribbon just to wind it around the stem, just for a little decorative touch. And then you could tie it off with a ribbon at the bottom that allows you to hang it. So there you have it, a cute little lavender wand. I have to say I've really enjoyed making these because my mum used to make them when I was a kid, so it's brought back some really nice memories. Aren't they just gorgeous?
This is one of my favourite spots in the entire world. It's called McCar's Creek and it's just down the road from my place. Beautiful, isn't it? Now, no matter where you choose to get together with your friends and family, you will need something pretty special on the table. And given it's the end of summer and still so beautiful, well, guess what? I have something pretty amazing to show you. I'd agree with you. There is nothing more popular on the barbecue than a little bit of chicken. But I reckon it has to be chicken thigh, not chicken breast. This is always going to be juicier and more succulent. But that said, going to keep it really easy. Just a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, some Australian extra virgin olive oil, straight on the grill. When you use your chicken thighs, you can get them in two ways. Obviously skin on, which I prefer for flavour, or skin off. It is kind of up to you. But either way, they're going to drop a bit of fat. So I do recommend using a flat plate rather than the grill. This is called a plancha. You can find them at kitchenware stores. But otherwise, if you've just got a heavy kitchen tray, it works just as well. Heat it up, and then we'll start to sear the chook.
Step aside, 'cause I'm amazed.
That's great. Worst mistake you can make is to have this thing too hot. Give it time to brown. But meanwhile, how about something on the side? With all those smoky flavours, you want to go with something a little bit sweet, just to bring out the best in it. And there's nothing better than corn, because it goes on the barbecue as well. Just peel them back, and we'll chop them into like discs. And once the chicken's done, we can put them on the same grill plate. Actually, one thing you should know, if you're ever struggling to cut really hard things like pumpkin or corn, you've got to use a little bit of a rolling action. So you put your knife in there and just roll it backwards and forwards like this. Honestly, no effort required. Now, the real measure of whether or not you've done this chicken properly or not is the quality of the crust on that skin. At this point, you may want to put a little bit of foil on top to make sure it cooks properly. It depends a bit on your barbecue, but that is absolutely brilliant. And before we put our corn on, I should have mentioned, we need to make a glaze for the chook. Don't worry, it is super easy. I think it'll take maybe 1 minute and about 5 minutes on the cooker. Start with a bit of barbecue sauce. Smokier the better. And then molasses. This is often overlooked when it comes to making southern style glazes, but it's what gives it that lovely sourness and helps it to stick. And then some hot sauce. How much can you take? What? Stop. Okay. Lastly, a little bit of lime zest and lime juice and your favourite spice mix. This is a Texas style one. Using the glaze couldn't be easier. You just need to spoon a bit on, not too much. Let it cook for a moment. Then spoon some more on, cook for a bit. I think you get the idea. Oh, beautiful. Now, you do want to make sure you don't leave it on the grill too long, otherwise that sauce may start to caramelise, burn. So I reckon that is good to go. Now your corn is going to take a bit longer than the chicken to cook, but what you will need to do is make sure you do it on both sides and also on the edges, but make sure it doesn't roll off. Between you and me, I could just eat a whole plate of the corn, but I think if you're entertaining, you want to make it a bit special. So how about we turn it into a salad? Zucchini is brilliant. I like it cooked, but I much prefer it raw. If you just use a vegetable peel to make strips like this, we'll pair that up with some mint and some radicchio. I love this stuff. It is absolutely delicious. Good little lettuce, somewhat bitter, but the colour's incredible. You can use a different lettuce if you'd like to. Then some pecans, we'll crush those in. And after that, I'm going to show you how to make a super easy dressing. We are going to need to let the corn cool down a bit, otherwise those leaves don't stand a chance, but that's okay. We do need to make a dressing. All you need is 3 parts oil to 1 part vinegar, and then as much honey as you can take. After that, a little splash of mustard. Share plates like this are brilliant for entertaining. Look, partly it keeps it kind of chilled, but also there's less washing up. Right, drizzle of our dressing. And if you're wondering about this hole here, well, there is one more very special ingredient. A handful of corn chips. It does add crunch, but why, really? They're corn chips. What else do you need to know?
On a dark night, don't hold me back from a spot.
Well, Robin, we have had such a great day exploring the flavours of Vancouver, but I feel like we just could have gone straight to this because you summed it up perfectly, and then you've travelled all over the world. What do you think about the food scene in Vancouver at the moment?
Well, we just harvested fresh Dungeness crab from the ocean, and it tastes amazing because it's fresh.
Yeah.
And the ingredients here are just amazing. So as a chef, that's what I want to work with.
Yeah, you're very lucky.
Yeah, I feel lucky.